Welcome to Gold Derby's production design panel with Emmy nominees. I'm David Buchanan, joined by Eric Morrell from Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. Eric, I wanted to start by asking you, your career has really been focused on variety series, reality series, some competition series. What do you love most about working in those genres, which seem so disparate, but what's your favorite aspect of working in that type of style and format of show?
That's a good question. Um, the reality stuff was fun because it was very showy and very presentational. But the I really got more into the comedy stuff because I wanted to just make people laugh and just like do something really silly. I did a bunch of like serious features before that, and like I just wanted it to be simple and be like just silly and goofy. Yeah.
Are there things that you brought from, your reality experience to Last Week Tonight? What earlier in your career has really influenced all the work that you've done with John Oliver?
Um, yeah. With the uh, with the reality stuff, it was a lot about like showiness and like I'm trying to think of. I haven't thought about it in a while, but with John Oliver, I did comedy stuff early on. Like I did some stuff for The Onion, and I did, I mean, I did those serious films, and I think that that's really what I was able to bring to John Oliver, is because a lot of times the joke is not in the thing that we make. It's in the presentation of it, or it's in like the idea behind it. So uh, me actually playing it straight and trying to like make it as real as possible is really the trick.
I believe this is your sixth nomination for Last Week Tonight, which is just wonderful and such an achievement. I wanted to ask you, what about this season and the nomination for your work this time is really unique to you versus, all the other recognition that you've received?
Sure. Yeah, what's weird about this show is that each time I like put up a different episode, it's for something completely different. So this particular one was for like this model train short that we made that was like a Thomas the Train sort of thing. And it was great because like I usually draw pictures and send them off to a shop and they make everything. But for this one, I actually made a lot of the stuff for the short. So in some ways, like I feel like this one was more personal because I got to like touch everything. Um, but yeah, that answers your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, let's dive into it. So
Sure.
that, like you said, the episode you're nominated for is Freight Trains, and it has this really incredible 4 or 5 minute short where you take so much of the lessons that we've been taught through John's monologue into this really fun and also, kind of devious short. I just wanted to start by asking you, it seems like such a gargantuan amount of work to bring all of that to life. How much time did you have to do that? And did you have more time? Like, do you get more time and more notice for something this involved versus maybe some of the other work that you do on other episodes?
Yeah, sometimes we have a little bit more time. This one in particular, we knew that it was coming up, but we didn't know when and like when they're going to write the script. That really defines how long we have. Um, but we none of us wanted to do it exactly because I just didn't think we had the ability to do it, and I thought it'd be too expensive to ship out to like an animation company or something like that. And I also, but so I kept pitching that it should just be we should use clips from the show and like change the narration, but it turned out based on our story that was just impossible. We would have to make the whole thing. And so we kind of all realized that. And I had said we could do it over and over. And it was the week before Thanksgiving, and we said that we were going to do it. And so I started calling people, but everybody was leaving for Thanksgiving. So we only had a week and a half to do it. And so I just spent that whole week just modeling things in 3D. Uh, and then we printed them all out the next week. So we made like, I actually have a bunch of the stuff here, but we made all the people and everything like that. And then I would just print them as I got back to the office.
That's amazing. And I have to ask, like, how much did you prior to this and the research know about Thomas the Train? I know this is like based on, the British version, which had a more darker, cynical, tone and sense of humor, which just fits so appropriately to the story. So how much did you know? And then how much research did you do to say, okay, let's take the details that we're incorporating from our kind of version, but make them, aesthetically similar to the original?
Yeah. I had seen the show. I mean, I'd seen like they showed episodes of Thomas the Tank Engine in like the 90s under a different title or whatever. But so I'd seen bits and pieces. My dad actually, when I was growing up, always built the train during Christmas. He built HO scale, which is a much smaller scale. And so I knew that trains were finicky, and I know that they break all the time. He spent most of the time fixing his trains more than playing with them. So I knew that that was the case. I watched as much as possible. Um, we really based it only on the first 5 seasons, and I think each episode's only 10 minutes. So you can really get through it in maybe a day. Um, and then it was really about finding out how they pulled it off because their trains are not that big. Like I can show you our train is this big, and here's the front of it, and their train was maybe about an inch taller. So the issue that they had was, um, when they put things next to the train, they were too small, and so they'd have to basically shoot another scale, larger scale, when you didn't see the trains. We were able to do that. We had to do that too. So I would print out a smaller version and a bigger version, but we were able to put in the bigger version into our smaller version, essentially, like basically in post, we shot both and then pasted them together.
There's
So
some, yeah, no, I was going to say there's some amazing kind of pyrotechnics in this short. The Children's Hospital, unfortunately, on fire because the train is blocking, the
yes,
fire engines. And then, of course, when it turns into a bomb train and that poor village goes up. I mean, how many takes does that take? How many models do you make to, test it out and see how it's going to look and how it's going to work? How complicated are those scenes when you have to actually destroy what you've just created?
yeah, I mean, we could only burn the hospital once. We could only afford to build that once. A lot of this was just time, because the guy who built the hospital, also built a bunch of the other buildings. Um, and but in terms of the trains, we crashed the train the last shot. We knew it was going to break. We had 2 trains made, but I was expecting one to break during shooting, and it did. So yeah, I had a million cars. I bought as many cars as I could, and then we just crashed the cars over and over. But the train physically only crashes maybe once, maybe twice. I can't remember, but we knew it was the end. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier too that this series allows you to have so much variety in what you do week to week. I can't imagine, when you hear the ideas and get the scripts, it's just a million different directions. Are there other episodes this season other than the one that is nominated that you're particularly proud of? Things that stand out as, really remarkable on the work that you and your team did?
Yeah, right before this one, we did a couple projects, but one of them, we knew we were going to do this thing about the New Zealand bird competition, where everybody can vote for a bird that they like, and that's the whole thing. And we knew that we were going to advertise across the world about it, but we didn't know how we were going to do it in the stage. And so we were coming off the strikes, and I was just feeling like we needed to do, or I wanted to do something that I'd never done before. So I drew like, I don't know, maybe 10 ideas that were just things I had no idea how to pull off. And I thought they would just kind of like throw it out. But they picked this one where it was like a 70-foot wide bird puppet. And so like I was very surprised when they decided to do it. And so yeah, we made that maybe a month before the train thing. So it was a very strange thing to go from such a large scale object to tiny, tiny things. But these were all characters, which is kind of a funny thing because I never get to do characters. I always have to do, or not have to do, but I always do the, the backgrounds and things like that. But
Eric,
weird
congratulations.
one.
Congratulations on the Emmy nomination, and congratulations on this season of Last Week Tonight.
Thanks so much.